UC Davis is known for its research on many of the things we enjoy: wine, beer, and even olive oil. Now, there's another popular beverage being studied at the university in a one-of-a-kind facility.
In 2013, my colleague and I were sitting around in the engineering building drinking some coffee, wondering how to improve our upper division engineering labs. And she threw out the idea, why don't we have our students take apart a Mr. Coffee drip brewer and see how it works? And kind of a light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, oh my gosh, why don't we make a whole class about coffee? We designed a class called The Design of Coffee, an introduction to chemical engineering. We rolled it out as a freshman seminar in 2013 to about 16 students. And this past academic year, we had 2,091 students take the design of coffee at UC Davis. So it started off really small, and it blew up into this large thing.
This large thing is now the nation's first ever academic research center dedicated to coffee. Over the years, the UC Davis Coffee Center has expanded quickly with support from the coffee industry and is working towards a comprehensive program for students at all levels.
The coffee economy is huge. There's about 100 million people around the world whose livelihood depends on growing coffee. Right? And so whatever we can do to help improve the quality and the demand for coffee here helps a lot of people around the world. We're trying to develop new knowledge about coffee, trying to answer unanswered questions.
To understand how coffee production can be improved, let's first discover how it's made. It starts with picking the fresh fruit, often a beautiful red color, sometimes a bright orange, yellow, or pink. 5 distinct layers must be removed before uncovering the green coffee beans that are shipped around the world. One of the major challenges they've worked on at the Coffee Center is reducing the waste that's generated when those coffee bean layers are removed.
We now understand how many byproducts are being generated in the specialty coffee industry in the world. This allows us to basically work on sustainable approaches where we could potentially reutilize those byproducts for other purposes.
More than 50% of the weight of the coffee is byproducts like water and pulp, which are usually considered contaminants.
We generate other products from the coffee pulp and reutilizing this as an organic manner to reintroduce it in the fields and so on. And of course, this is one approach of many that we can explore. But at least knowing through the very exhaustive study, knowing exactly how many byproducts are generated, it kind of gives us like the first step on what we can do with all of this.
Once we peel back the layers and get to the green coffee beans, there are more things to consider before we start roasting and brewing. One particular challenge: coffee beans absorb a lot of moisture, especially during shipping overseas. It can take 3 weeks to 3 months to reach customers. That can affect flavor.
What I was looking into was how to keep your coffee safe from excess moisture as it's being transported. One of my projects that I've worked on, I've looked into using desiccants to put them in the packaging of your green coffee as it's being transported.
With properly stored green coffee in our hands, it's time to bring out their unique flavors. Coffee Center researchers are looking for ways to better measure physical and chemical properties of roasted coffee to help all of us brew the perfect cup.
One of the goals of the research on roasting is to create a roasting control chart that will give the roaster operators some really great guidelines about how they approach the coffee.
I would like to be able to predict what your roasted coffee is going to look like if you tell me what type of coffee you are using or what roasting method you are looking at. For example, one of our findings is titrate level acidity always peaks during first crack.
One of the areas Laudia is studying is how roasting temperatures affect coffee's acidity. During roasting, coffee beans make popping sounds when they reach certain temperatures, known as the first and second cracks. For the maximum amount of acidity in your cup, you'll want to stop roasting at the first crack when the roasting temperature is lower.
A lot of the research might end up being beneficial to a specialty third wave craft coffee roaster and artisan, that they can dive deeper into the nuances of roasting. But on the other side, for large mass production of coffee, that it's being done efficiently and effectively.
Similar to the roasting control chart, there's already a brewing control chart to help achieve desired flavors. It was developed back in the 1950s, but modern science is updating it and making it more accurate.
We found quite a few surprises. For example, one of the most desired attributes in coffee is naturally occurring sweetness. A lot of people don't realize that black coffee can actually have perceptible sweetness if it's roasted properly and brewed properly. And what we found, contrary to a lot of kind of intuition, was that to maximize that sweetness, you want to do lower and lower what's known as total dissolved solids. And that's the fancy way of saying how strong is your cup of coffee. So if you have a very, very dark cup of coffee, you'll minimize that naturally perceptible sweetness. You go to lower strengths, you'll get more sweetness.
Once the coffee has been brewed, then you got to taste it. And from tasting the coffee, we can get really scientific about how we're tasting the coffee with a cupping process where you lay out multiple bowls and you look for any kind of defects in the coffee or consistency in the coffee, and then you can grade the coffee for its quality. Yeah. Or you can just sit with a cup of coffee and enjoy it with a friend or a companion.
Really, my hope is that we can increase the sustainability of coffee and that we can enjoy the same cup of coffee or a better cup of coffee 25 years, 30 years from now.
The truth is we're going to lose the diversity in coffee if we don't take a step back and evaluate what is the quality and character of the coffee that's being produced. All of it has a very important value to the end consumer who's paying their hard-earned dollars for something that they enjoy.